Let's dive into what makes Think and Grow Rich one of the most powerful success guides, but we're skipping the usual self-help pep talk and focusing only on some important chapters of the book. Today, it's all about hacking your mind, with wit, imagination and some serious brain power. Napoleon Hill knew how to explain it, so let's break it down his way. Auto-suggestion, the art of talking to yourself without sounding crazy. Auto-suggestion is like planting little seeds of awesomeness in your brain. Basically, you're convincing your subconscious that you're already on the path to greatness, just by repeating it often enough. Sounds easy, right? Imagine this. You're standing in front of the mirror, looking yourself in the eye and saying, "I am rich. I am successful. I am a legend." Now, at first it feels a little weird, but Hill says, stick with it. Why? Because your subconscious is like a sponge. Keep feeding it with positive thoughts, and guess what? It starts to believe them. Hill gives an example from the life of his son, Blair, who was born without ears. Doctors said he'd never hear or speak, but Hill refused to believe that. Through constant, relentless autosuggestion, Blair not only learned to hear, but became a successful speaker. Talk about mind power. So, lesson 1. Never underestimate the power of talking to yourself. Autosuggestion isn't just pep talk, it's brainwashing, by you, for you. And in this case, brainwashing is a good thing. Imagination, your mind's playground, time to get creative. Ever been told you have a wild imagination? Well, Hill would say, good. Now use it to get rich. He calls imagination the workshop of the mind. You can either create new ideas, Hill calls this creative imagination, or repackage old ones, synthetic imagination. Let's say you want to start a business. You've got nothing but your imagination to work with. Great. Hill would tell you to dream up something wild, like a phone app that automatically makes breakfast for you. Okay, maybe not that, but you get the idea. Let your imagination run free. Henry Ford didn't just invent a car because he had an engineering degree. He imagined a world where regular people could drive. That's the power of imagination, turning what seems impossible into reality. So take a few minutes every day to think like a mad scientist. No idea is too crazy in the workshop of your mind. Subconscious mind, the silent boss of your life. Let's face it, your subconscious mind is running the show, whether you know it or not. It's like the backstage crew of a theater production, pulling the strings, setting the stage, and making sure everything runs smoothly. And just like in theater, if your crew is a mess, the show's a disaster. Hill says you can control your subconscious by feeding it the right thoughts. This is where auto-suggestion comes back into play. By repeatedly telling your subconscious what you want, it starts believing that's your reality. Ever have one of those days when you wake up grumpy and the whole day goes downhill? That's your subconscious at work. But if you start your day by feeding it positivity, boom, your subconscious starts building your day around those vibes. In Hill's world, your subconscious is like a 24/7 construction crew, always building something. So, make sure it's building your success, not a tower of self-doubt. The brain, your personal thought transmitter. Here's where it gets a little sci-fi. Hill says your brain is like a broadcasting and receiving station for thoughts. Sounds wild, but let's roll with it. Think of your brain like a radio tower. It's sending out signals into the world, your desires, your goals, your vibes. But it's also receiving. Ever had an idea pop into your head out of nowhere? That's your brain picking up on a thought floating around in the ether. Hill believed that when you're thinking positive thoughts, you're broadcasting them to the universe, and the universe sends you ideas and opportunities in return. This is why it's so important to keep your mind clear of negative thoughts. You don't want to be broadcasting doom and gloom unless you're looking to attract more of that into your life. So, keep your brain dialed in on the right frequency. The sixth sense, your personal superpower. Hill talks about something called the sixth sense. And no, we're not talking about seeing dead people. This is about intuition. You know, that gut feeling you get sometimes? That's your sixth sense whispering in your ear. He describes it as your connection to infinite intelligence. Sounds grand, but in simpler terms, it's that inner voice or gut feeling that often guides you to the right decisions. You've felt it when you just know something's going to work, or when you sense something's off without being able to explain why. Hill says successful people trust this sixth sense. They listen to their gut when making big decisions, and it often pays off. It's like your internal GPS, guiding you toward the opportunities you need to reach your goals. But here's the catch. Your sixth sense only works if you've been feeding your subconscious the right stuff. Auto-suggestion again. So, keep that positive input flowing and trust your gut. Overcoming fear. The real boss fight. Here's the part that trips everyone up. Fear. Hill identifies 6 fears that mess with our heads. Fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. We all have them, but guess what? They're holding you back. Fear is like that annoying video game boss you can't defeat. It keeps popping up, making you second-guess yourself, and worst of all, it keeps you stuck. Hill's advice: you have to face it head-on. Take Thomas Edison, for example. He faced failure 10,000 times before he finally figured out the light bulb. Do you think he didn't fear failure after attempt 9,999? Of course he did. But Hill would argue that it was Edison's ability to ignore that fear that led to his success. Here's the thing. The more you run from fear, the bigger it gets. But once you face it and realize that it's not the end of the world, you gain control. So, whatever fear is standing between you and success, acknowledge it, then kick it to the curb. Fear has no place in your success story. Final thoughts. Mastering your mind. What Hill is really teaching us is this. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. Auto-suggestion, imagination, the subconscious mind, your brain, the sixth sense, they all work together to help you create your reality. But the only thing standing between you and the life you want is how well you can master these forces. So, talk to yourself, dream big, trust your gut, and most importantly, face your fears. Success isn't just about money. It's about who you become in the process.
We touched on a few chapters, but there's much more to know. Read the complete book to let the wisdom flow. Turn pages, chase dreams, erase every doubt. Until next time, a bookser's signing out.